Candidates for the degrees of Master in Public Administration, Master in Public Policy, Master in City and Regional Planning, Doctor of Public Administration, and Doctor of Public Policy will rise. The Dean of the Faculty of Government.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, and members of the Board of Overseers, as Dean of the Faculty of Government, I have the pleasure to present to you these women of men, each of whom is qualified to perform leadership in public service.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree for which your studies have qualified you, and testify that you are well prepared to offer leadership in the quest for enlightened public policy and effective public administration throughout the world.
I'm David Elwood, the Academic Dean of the Kennedy School, and I want to welcome you to this terrific celebration and honor for the class of 1997, the Kennedy School of Government. We're also here to honor and say thank you to parents, to spouses, to children, to siblings, to other relatives, to friends, to colleagues, all of whom provided support, often in many forms, to this great class. And without you, none of this would be possible. So a thank you to you as well. Now, the really important deed is yet to be done, which is to give the degrees and so forth. But before that, we're going to have the Dean of the School, Joseph Nye, give a few remarks and inspiration.
I was told I could give all the inspiration I wanted as long as it was brief. This has been a good year for the Kennedy School. We've had new faculty who've turned out to be terrific. We had a curriculum review of both the Master of Public Policy and the Master of Public Administration degrees, well led. We had the establishment of a center to study the management and policy for nonprofit institutions. Just last weekend here at the school we hosted the first International Women's Leadership Conference. And turning back a page, if we think about the unfortunate incident of hate mail that we suffered this spring, the most encouraging thing was the response of this community and the way we reaffirmed our commitment to diversity in the wake of that institute. But of all the good things this year, the best is sitting in front of me, which is the class of '97. You are an extraordinary group of people. You come from 65 countries. Those flags in the forum tell us a lot about the Kennedy School. We are indeed the most international school at Harvard. And one of the things I think that we need to remind ourselves of is the different degrees and dimensions of our diversity and the extraordinary amount which we have learned from each other and have taught each other. But all those questions are now behind, because the question for you now is, what's your next step? What's going to happen to you? A few minutes ago, I guess an hour or so, I certified to the president and fellows that you were indeed prepared for leadership in public service. Now, if we look at the statistics of what's going to happen to you, about half of you will go into government or return to government if you've been there before. About 20% or so will go into nonprofits as a form of public service, and somewhere around 25 to 30% will go into the private sector. What you're going to find is that you will wind up, many of you, in different positions at different phases of your life. It's very probable that you will be in and out of public, private, or nonprofit service in different stages of your lives. And what we hope we've done is given you the preparation for that varied career pattern that you will face. But what's the common denominator? What is it that we at the Kennedy School have tried to instill? I think it was best put by an MPP who returned last year for the 25th anniversary of the MPP program, who said the common denominator that we all have as graduates of the Kennedy School is that we're imbued with the public ethic. We care about the way people run their lives together, run our lives together. We care about democratic governance. And I think in that sense, a short form of putting that was well summarized by the class gift that was announced on Tuesday, which was that we will have on the wall in the forum the words of President Kennedy: ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That comes close to what we mean by saying that we're imbued with the public ethic. Now, these questions are going to be harder to answer in the future than when Kennedy first posed them. We have a world that's changing dramatically. The information revolution, or third industrial revolution as it's sometimes called, is creating a different type of economy and society, which will call in turn for a different type of governance. Globalization, in which we are finding forces beyond national boundaries having powerful impacts on domestic societies. All these are things which will change the nature of governance in the 21st century. And that question of how do we organize our collective lives, how do we preserve democratic governance as these changes occur, is central to the question that you should be prepared to do in your leadership in public service. So we have a common mission. You are now embarked on this common mission not as students, but as alumni of the school. We will also welcome you back, but let this today be truly a commencement for you. And good luck.
Next, we have the Masters in Public Administration, the mid-career. To give out the degrees, again, Faculty Chair Marilee Grindle and Director Sue Williamson.
Colleagues and friends, it gives me great pleasure to present to you the mid-career Public Administration, Master in Public Administration, class of 1997. Vladimir J. Petit Medina.
and all degrees of all types have now been awarded. Congratulations to the class of 97. Next, to make a couple of special announcements, again, Dean Joe Nye.
You will find in your programs an insert listing the first recipients of the Kennedy School Alumni Achievement Awards. There will be a ceremony this fall in Cambridge to honor these graduates, but I thought it'd be nice if we included in the announcements this spring at graduation so that the class of 97 could share in understanding a little bit about what their distinguished forebears have done in their efforts of public service. Ian Clark came to the Kennedy School as a pioneer in the MP3 program from Oxford, where he'd been a Rhodes Scholar, returned in 1972 to his native Canada, and rose to become the highest-ranking civil servant in that country. Served as a deputy minister and several positions, and most recently as an international civil servant as an executive director of the International Monetary Fund. And I should say that the school is very proud of Ian's service to his country, and I should mention for the MPP graduates in the audience that Ian has made extensive use of the analytic skills he learned in the Corps, and Tony Gomez-Ibanez, who is his classmate and the able chair of the Corps Curriculum Review, reports that rumors to the contrary, he did occasionally use decision trees, regression analysis, and cost-benefit analysis. Paul Volcker came to Cambridge to study public administration before the Kennedy School had its present incarnation. He was a Littauer Fellow in 1950. He then went and served in the United States Treasury and the Federal Reserve System under 5 presidents, beginning with the one for whom this school is named, President Kennedy. Paul Volcker was chairman of the Federal Reserve System from 1979 to 1987, through a period of extreme inflation, a difficult time. But throughout his tenure in government, Paul has been a model for public service careers, embodying the balance of intellectual and political insight, rigor in the pursuit of public policy, and determination and skill during difficult times. We're very proud to have him among our graduates. Finally, I want to tell you about Molly Beattie, who unfortunately will not be able to recognize in Cambridge this fall, along with Ian Clark and Paul Volcker. Molly was a committed environmentalist who worked as a forester, teacher, reporter, habitat director, and foundation manager before she was appointed Vermont's first woman commissioner of forests, parks, and recreation in 1989, and then deputy secretary of Vermont's Agency for Natural Resources. In 1993, after earning her degree from the Kennedy School, Molly went to Washington as the first woman director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. She worked passionately for the environment, adding 15 new wildlife refuges and more than 100 conservation habitat plans. Tragically, Molly died of brain cancer at the age of 49, almost a year ago today. In recognition of her achievements and passion and humanity, 8 million acres of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge have been named after her. The Kennedy School also honors her today and in perpetuity. It's our hope that for you, the class of 1997, that like Molly Beattie, Ian Clark, and Paul Volcker, you'll pursue your path of public service wherever it may take you with the passion, dedication, rigor, and excellence which these alumni exemplify and whose achievements we celebrate. I also have one other thing which relates to public service of a slightly different type. Some of you may realize that Edith Stokey has been the heart and soul of the Kennedy School. She still will remain so, but she is stepping down as her position of Associate Academic Dean. And in that context, we would like to name, in honor of Edith Stokey, one of our public service fellowships. So I would ask you to join me in thanking Edith Stokey. sorry, but we couldn't let you get away with free. And of course, to have the last word, Edith Stokey.
I can't imagine anything that would please me more. Thank you. It is now time, but for one final moment of ritual, to bring these formal ceremonies to a close. In this situation, in this institution, at this point in the commencement festivities, tradition takes over. We reveal to the new alumni and their guests Harvard's deepest secret. It's my responsibility and also my privilege to do so today. For some of you, the secret is an old story. Others have long suspected the truth, and it will come as no surprise. The rest of you should listen very closely. In keeping with a centuries-old Harvard tradition, the Kennedy School of Government admits as students only those candidates who are extraordinarily intelligent, engagingly personable, incredibly perseverant, and unquestionably destined to make major contributions to society. The school then provides an environment in which these superior people can interact with and learn from one another. We, as faculty, try not to interfere with this process. We hope that any accidental interventions will, on balance, have a positive effect. After a prescribed period of time, we award to these remarkable individuals an appropriate degree. From then on, the school takes full credit for all their accomplishments. That is Harvard's secret, and it is now yours. And I should point out that it is in your interest as well as ours not to divulge the secret. In closing, my colleagues and I are delighted that we are sharing this very special time with you. May it live in your memories. Our thanks to all of you for being with us today. Our congratulations and best wishes to the class of 1997. These ceremonies are now adjourned. We look forward to seeing you at lunch.